Welcome to the Movie Draft Podcast. I'm Ethan Simi, and I'm joined by Ben Lawhorn.
I'm a mushroom cloud laying motherfucker.
And Sophie Holsinger.
Hey guys, I can't top that one.
And today we are collaboratively drafting Quentin Tarantino movies. Ben, that's some hard energy you're bringing into this pod, brother.
I just got to set the tone so you guys know what's about to happen. You'll notice that I didn't quote Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for a reason.
Oh, man. You are also in a Death Proof t-shirt. I'm in a Pulp Fiction t-shirt. Sophie, you've got your Inglourious Basterds screenplay sitting next to you. We're all bringing a certain type of energy to this episode. Now, this is our very first collaborative draft here on the show. Competitively collaborative? Question mark? I don't know. I kind of want to break it down for a quick second because this is a new style draft for us, for the listeners, and for everybody that checks out this podcast. Ben, we've done these before. Sophie, you were actually on our 24 Minutes of A24 doing one of these for musicals as well. They are collaboratively competitive. We're going to kind of see how this shakes out. We're going to do 10 Quentin Tarantino movies. So, Ben, I'm curious from your perspective, because you're more of the competitive edge, the competitive nature to the collaborative draft. How do you see how these things shake out? And in your mind, is there a winner to a team draft like this?
I hope it's me, or whoever, like whatever the winner is. I hope it's me. I enjoy the competitive side of this. I'm not here to make friends. I'm just here to get my movies as high as possible. So that's the energy I'm coming in with.
Okay, that's fair. Sophie, what about you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed doing the musicals with you. I loved having little jokes about Purple Rain and, all the vetoes and fights that we get into when we do these collaborative rankings. So I'm excited. No strategy, just kind of rolling with it. I want my movies at the top.
Okay, so it does sound like you're bringing a little bit of episode 1 energy, which I respect, which is just like Sophie core, let's just see what happens. I feel like I'm kind of a mix in between you guys. There's definitely strategy that goes into these collaborative drafts, but I'll give a little hint. We've already pre-recorded our next collaborative draft with Ben, myself, and a guest. And there is a sense of like, you want your movies to be up there. You want to get the winners, right? So I do feel like there kind of is a winner to this draft. And if there isn't a single winner, I feel like we're all losers because it's not representative of anybody's individual list. So I guess we'll see how it goes. We're doing Tarantino. What is our relationship with Tarantino? Sophie, I'm curious with you. What do Tarantino films mean to you? Where are you at on Quentin?
Yeah, so Inglourious Basterds was the first Tarantino film I ever saw. Queued it up on Netflix. Kind of embarrassing. I've never seen a Tarantino film in a theater. But I watched that film, and as I say on pretty much every podcast I'm on, I love history, and I grew up watching these like grand historical fiction epics. But then I watched that film, and it was just in a completely different realm of a historical reimagination with this like insane ending and all these crazy risks. Tarantino's who taught me that I liked dark comedy and violence when it's used in comedic ways. So yeah, I love his work. I think there's a couple I'm really passionate about, and then the rest are kind of just like, yeah, I like them. They're very Tarantino. He's very consistent in his filmmaking. But yeah, I adore his films. I got to visit the New Beverly last year, which was cool.
Oh, nice.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, love him.
That's rad. Ben, big Once Upon a Time in Hollywood guy.
Yes, you are. You are indeed. Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah, Pulp Fiction was my first one. I saw Kill Bill in theaters, and then pretty much everything since then I've seen in theaters. I love his stuff. It's weird. It's become this thing now where, being a Nolan or a Tarantino fan makes you like a film bro, which is unfortunate, like the discourse around it. But he really is one of my favorite directors. Like I love his, tributes and his homages to what he loves and what he grew up with. I think it's fantastic. Pulp Fiction was one of the first movies, like a lot of people. I didn't see it in 4, whatever, when it came out. Like I saw it later, but it really kind of blew my mind when I saw it. I was like, oh, you could just like tell it non-linearly. That's amazing. You could do this with the movie and it still kind of works, you know? And it was one of the first movies where I felt like this is a cool movie. Like I feel cooler now for having seen this for sure. So, I love his stuff. I'm excited to see all of our passion points here with the movies that we love, because I feel like we've already established on the side here what some of us really love and what some of us may not love as much. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see where we cross over. I had 3 Tarantino movies that I had not seen going into this draft that I watched. I rewatched 2, and I felt pretty good about the other 5. Pulp Fiction was, just like you, Ben, was my introduction to Tarantino, and although it wasn't my first time watching it, I do have like a pretty core memory with Pulp Fiction. It was like the first Christmas after my parents got divorced, and all of my brothers went to my mom's for Christmas because they were too young, couldn't like make their own decision where they wanted to go. And so my dad had nobody for Christmas. So my wife and I went to my dad's house, and on Christmas Day, we were just flipping through channels. We had nothing going on, nobody there. And we watched Pulp Fiction. It just showed up on screen, and we watched basically like the whole thing on cable. And so I have like this very core memory of like Pulp Fiction is awesome. Like it's a movie that you can fully get entranced with. So yeah, I think Tarantino is very unique, and it's easy to tell when a Tarantino movie is a Tarantino movie. I was lucky enough to catch him on his U.S. tour for his book Cinema Speculation, and got to listen to him kind of talk about what went into his book. And Ben, like you said, he's so passionate about like old Hollywood and the things that he likes, and the montages and the homages. And I think that is really, really neat. I've only seen one of his movies in theaters. That was The Hateful Eight. I got to see it actually like a month ago. And I got to see it on the original 35 millimeter ultra wide Panavision film. And it was sick. It was a great experience. Is it one of my favorites? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. We'll see how we get to talking. Any strategies we're bringing in this collaborative draft before we lay out the rules here? Because on the first episode of the pod, it was all of us for ourselves. 2023, we had to build our own individual teams, but we have to build a team of 10 together right now.
I mean, I definitely have a strategy that I'm not going to share with you guys, but I do want to shout out whoever it was that programmed Pulp Fiction for Christmas on whatever channel it was you're watching. Like, you know what? What's a good family movie here?
Big
Pulp
W.
Fiction. Let's throw it on. I also just can't imagine. I don't know that I've ever seen it on TV, so I'm very curious to know what the edited version is like, but I love that. I think it is just like, it is a classic movie though. I mean, I went to Kenya on shooting a documentary thing for a while, and on one of our days off we were just hanging out, and we went to this house, and one of like the 5 movies it had was Pulp Fiction, so we all just like sat around, like people, you know, a group of us from America, a group from Africa, we're just like watching Pulp Fiction, but it's like everyone kind of knows it. It's out there. So I have a feeling I'll be surprised if that ends up in the bottom half, because I don't know, I'm very curious. I know where I want it to go, but yeah, like I said, this is probably one of the first times I actually have like a real strategy in mind, but it's all going to fall onto the wheel of death, you know? I
have no strategy, obviously.
Going blind.
I'm doing me, and I'm not going to be scared to veto.
Okay.
I know. Yeah. I know what I want in those top like 3 slots, maybe. So maybe I'll like be quiet for most of the draft and then come out of nowhere, but we'll see.
Dang.
Okay. Wow.
New Sophie.
I'm a little scared right now. Honestly, I'm a little worried. I feel like I have to be on the lookout. I have to be cautious of like what happens. I think kind of any play could be very contentious wherever you put a single movie. We only have 10 to choose from. We are counting Kill Bill Volume 1 and Kill Bill Volume 2 as 2 separate films. So we do have 10 Tarantino movies to put in the draft here. Of course, Tarantino himself counts them as a single film called The Whole Bloody Affair. That would mean his 10th movie is supposedly on the way, set to begin production in 2024, called The Film Critic. Are you guys excited for The Film Critic? Even though we don't know like anything about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna give away what maybe one of my favorite Tarantino movies is, but
I'm just trying to draw. I'm just trying to ask more questions and try to get more information so I can do what I want to do.
But I love a movie about a movie, so I'm excited for this. I love Tarantino. I support him doing his little 10 film thing, even though it makes me sad. But we'll see if it's really the last one. I don't know.
You think he's going to stick to it? That was my question. You really think he's going to do that?
I don't know. I mean, who knows? Is he like a stubborn man? Because I don't know.
Yeah. Seems like he'll stick to it for a while. And then maybe in like 15 years, he'll be like, fuck this. I'm going to make a movie. That's what I feel like will happen. Ben, excited for the Film Critic?
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Anything with Tarantino. I'm curious what he'll do after. Maybe he'll go to some limited series kinds of stuff and make 6-episode shows, get more time. But just really quickly, I want to say I appreciate that. I think we all made our Tarantino list private on Letterboxd because we're trying to keep them secret from each other.
Yes.
May have tried to do some snooping around, and I was like, oh shit, all right, they thought ahead of this. So yeah, this is gonna be fun.
I had to really, so if you had to really scroll through your Letterboxd lists, I don't know if you put it on the back page on purpose or what. I was just trying to scope the comp here, and you were making it tough. So, yeah, I think there's definitely some outside forces here. We have to be a little strategic with how we use Letterboxd. Of course, by the time this episode is out, my list will personally be out, and I'm sure that I'll say it here at the end, even though I confidently believe the collab draft will significantly recognize what I have on my personal list. So I feel good.
Oh, wow.
We'll see you at that.
Feel really good. Ben, can you walk us through the rules of a collaborative draft? We are going to be trying to do a single collaborative draft one time a month. So it'll be one episode every month we're going to dedicate to doing this activity. Mix it up a little bit. Can you tell us how it goes?
Yeah, so we are collectively and competitively working together to rank Tarantino's 10 best films. We're going to, in a second, go to the Wheel of Death, as I previously mentioned, to figure out the order that people get to pick what drafter spot they want to be. To go over those really quickly, Drafter C is going to be drafting spots 9, 6, and 3. And Drafter B will be doing 8, 5, and 2. And Drafter A will be doing 10, 7, 4, and 1. However, since we only have 10 movies, Drafter B kind of gets to pick the top 2 spots because they will be choosing movie number 2, which is only going to leave 1 left over. So while Drafter A does get 4 picks, they really only get 3. So because of that, Drafter A is going to get 2 vetoes to try to get the movies that they want to move further up. Drafter B will get 1 veto. Drafter C will get 1 veto, and they will also get the only veto override of today. The only rule is they can't use it on their own selection. So if I pick a movie, Ethan vetoes it, I can't then use the veto override to save my own movie. You can only use it to help somebody else. So those are the 3 spots, pretty evenly laid out. I'm very curious to see where this ends up.
I think what is a fascinating little twist for what we're doing right now today is generally we'll do a collaborative draft with 13 movies. And more times than not, we will take someone, say Scorsese, whose filmography is far larger than 13 films, and apply that and say, hey, we got to cook it down to 13. Right now, today, we only have 10 to choose from, and our list is 10. So that one spot, I think, is really interesting because maybe any other draft, you could possibly save a veto in the hopes that you could veto whoever picks the number 1 if it's not what you want, and they would have to go back to the board to pick something. Not a choice today. So I think that changes things a little bit of like maybe what spot you want to draft. When we spin the wheel to figure out who gets the draft, whoever's name gets picked, they get to choose what drafting spot they want to be. So they get to choose if they want to be drafter A, B, or C. That's kind of the benefit of being picked on the wheel. I guess I'm ready. Let me quickly state the 10 movies that we're going to choose from here. Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill Volume 1, Kill Bill Volume 2, Death Proof, Inglourious Bastards, Django Unchained, The Hateful Eight, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Those are our 10 Quentin Tarantino movies. Spin the wheel, Ben. Spin the wheel.
Let's see what we get here.
Oh, man. This is big. This is big. It's called Winning. Let's fucking go.
All
wow,
right.
That's kind of a lot of pressure because I didn't think about what drafting spot I wanted yet. Okay.
Oh,
right.
Shucks.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so I got spun first. Ben, you were second. Sophie, you're going to end up with leftovers.
Okay.
And just to clarify too, before we get too far into it, a lot of this stuff comes from Screen Draft, so check them out, give them support. It's an awesome show. And also the veto order is going to go in the order that you ended up on the wheel. So Ethan is going to have to decide first if he wants to veto a movie, then I will have to decide, and then Sophie. So Sophie kind of gets to hold on to hers towards the end since she did get last in the Wheel of Death. So Ethan, what are you going to do?
Well, Sophie, that's 2 drafts in a row that you're spun last. I just want to.
know.
I don't have anything to do with this. It's on Ben's computer. Okay, it is all Ben.
It's all strategery, you know?
Ben, are you clearing your cookies? Don't lie.
Oh, I just made a video and I just played it back. So I do video production for a living. So you guys bought it and that's all I needed.
I would not put that past you, to be quite honest with you. It only lasts so long, Ben, and then you'll be ousted and done with this show. Okay, I'm going to pick drafter B. I'm going to take spots 2, 5, and 8 with only a single veto. That's what I want to do in this draft.
Okay.
Ben, what are you picking?
Give me A.
Okay.
I want those 2 vetoes.
Said with power.
Yeah. I mean, if you're taking B, then yeah, I'm going to take A.
Okay, Sophie, that puts you at drafter C. You're going to have spots 3, 6, and 9 with 1 veto and a veto override. Then you've got 1, 4, 7, and 10 with 2 vetoes. Now, listeners might not know who are new to this pod. Sophie and I know, based on our last draft, you like to cause chaos in the 10 spot.
I mean, that's true, but I also play it sincerely. I'm not trying to like draw vetoes out of people or anything like that. Like, I think it's best to go into this game playing it sincerely, because otherwise we could just like fuck with each other and blow all the vetoes, and who cares about that? So that is
Fair.
true. I do like to, ruffle some feathers if I can, sincerely, but
coming from the guy who's like, okay, anyway, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Listen, everything I do is for Purple Rain. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Everything is in justice of Purple Rain. You guys did this. You created this animal, this monster.
Yeah, we have made our own monster here.
Yeah.
Shucks. Okay. Ben, do you want to start the draft? Do you want to do this?
I would love nothing more than to start this off.
Oh, gosh.
I'm nervous. I'm really nervous.
Me too.
I'm going with the movie that we've all discussed recently.
No.
I'm going with the movie that I think has a wonderful, amazing, fantastic ending.
What is going on? Are you doing
There's
this?
no way.
It's a 5-star ending without a doubt.
There's no way you're going to do this.
But it's a 3-star movie, in my opinion. Nothing happens. Nothing happens for this movie until the end. I just get so bored with it. I don't love this movie at all, which is unfortunate because it's got a great cast. I love Brad Pitt. That's my dude. We get shirtless Brad Pitt in this movie. We get a decent performance from Leo, not his best from Tarantino, but a decent one. I'm going with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Are
you fucking high, Ben?
I'm telling you the truth. This is a 3-star movie. This is not It's like, it's him just like jizzing all over himself. Like, hey guys, remember Hollywood in the 60s? Like, let's just show this. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It all looks great. We know that you know how to do production design and make everything look cool, but like nothing happens. Like there's nothing going on here in this movie. It's a very boring movie. And I'm
pretty sure Brad Pitt throws somebody into a car. So that happens. That's a thing.
I mean, true, Bruce Lee, because that's believable, right? He would do that. Like, I don't know. Like, there's some stuff here that's just kind of like, I don't love it. It is towards the bottom of my list, and I just think it needs to be here. They promoted so much that we get Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate. Like, oh, it's fucking awesome. Let's just watch her sit in a movie theater for the whole movie. Like, why in the fuck are you promoting it like this? Like, that's insane. She's just like underutilized here. I don't know. I don't love this movie at all. And on the rewatch, it got worse for me. So, but again, 5-star ending for sure. I love, like, once Brad Pitt's on acid, I'm on board. Like, I'm having a great time. But the whole 2 hours before that, for me, it's a snooze fest.
I'm just going to defer to Sophie. Take it away, Soph. Do your thing.
I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. Okay, let me speak to a couple of things. First of all, Margot Robbie being in the promo, I understand, but I think what works so well about this movie is because in history, you expect that Sharon Tate is going to be the one to be murdered. You expect her to be kind of like one of the main characters of this film, and when she's not, I feel like that's what works for me so well, is because you expect something and then Tarantino does the opposite. And yes, that pays off in the incredible ending, but I don't find this movie boring at all. I think the dialogue is incredible. I personally think it's Leo's best performance. I think my favorite thing Leo's ever done is saying the F word a million times in his trailer and just being insane. I mean, I love a movie about a movie, so maybe that's just me, but I think it's an incredible buddy comedy. I love like how the film recreates the atmosphere of 1969 Los Angeles, which, I mean, I don't know. Like I this is the movie that I feel like maybe is Tarantino's most polarizing, and I just don't get it. Like I really don't. I love this movie so much.
Me either. I also don't get it.
Here's the thing. This movie objectively was nominated for 10 Oscars and it won 2 of them. So I'm just...
So did Green Book. So did Green Book.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we want to go that route.
I mean, you came into this, you're like, well, if it's right, I'll ruffle a few feathers. And then you just like poured the vat of tar over us. And you're like, nah, just kidding. We're just going to go crazy.
I was happy to see Austin Butler. You know I love him. That was fun.
You did text that to us. That is true. Yeah. That is a fact.
It's good to see Tex.
That's fair. What I find really fascinating, this is one of the movies I rewatched that I indeed did bump up to a 5-star from a 4.5 star. I think what is so riveting to me about this movie is that it offers multiple juxtapositions on the fragility of stardom and Hollywood and like what that means to different people in different phases of their careers and different relationships and all sorts of different things. So it may feel like we're not doing anything, but that's kind of the point, is like we're all just traversing this really meandering era of like these people going through their careers. I do think it is an electric like final 20 minutes. I think it is Tarantino's probably most polarizing because it is something so different from what he does. I have the first right to veto. Sophie, do you want to sidebar real quick? Can we figure out what we're doing? Because we're not leaving this here. Am I right? Or am I psychotic?
We're not leaving this here.
Okay,
There's
great.
no way.
I only have one veto. You have a veto and a veto override. Do you want to collab on this? Do we want to work together? Because once I veto, I'm toast, and I feel like you'll still have your override. That's pretty good. Like we have to take Ben down. If he's coming at us with this, we cannot stand.
You're right. But if I veto it now, he's just gonna nominate it at 7, and then you're gonna have to veto it again. So we're both gonna use our veto on this movie.
We're literally standing for one film in this list. Is that?
I mean, I can't have it at 10 or at 7. Like I just can't. I can't let that happen.
I can't either. I'm with you. I can't let it happen. Okay. I'm okay using my veto if that's what it's gonna require. I think that's just what it takes. You know? Yeah. Sometimes you gotta do what it takes. Definitely going to veto this. That marks the first collaborative draft, either on this pod or on a separate pod, where someone has used a veto in the 10 spot. Really
absurd,
tragic reality that I'm living in right now.
Also, Ben said this was near the bottom of his list.
Yeah, exactly. So why would he? I caught on to that.
This was his strategy, and it's working, but it's what we have to do.
This is my lowest ranked movie on Letterboxd. Once I update everything, this is 3.5 stars.
Tarantino?
Yeah, of all movies, I've seen The Sky Is Everywhere. Come on, like this is the lowest ranked movie ever.
Okay,
this is just So
it's been vetoed. We can talk about it a little bit more later. I do think it constitutes a little bit deeper of a conversation.
Does it?
But because I knew it wasn't going to sit here in the 10 spot, I didn't want to use that now.
Yeah.
You were just it just comes down to like content for you, Ben. Like it just feels like to you like nothing is happening. Like what if halfway through this, like I don't know, Brad Pitt as stuntman, like what if he got into a fiery car accident, and, like he dies and then changes the trajectory of Leo's like career? Is that something more interesting to you?
Yeah, it's something that would impact the plot for sure. Like nothing else did in the first 2 hours. So yeah, I would love something that caused something to happen.
Okay. I'm gonna put a pin in all of my thoughts right now. I'm gonna put a pin in everything. So the conversation that Leo has with the little girl on the stage about the book that he's reading, and ultimately it comes down to him saying, "You're gonna be living this in 15 years." That there's just hollow, just empty words.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Wow.
He ends up going to Italy anyway, you know, after she's like, "You're a great actor."
But
and he's
that's
like, all right.
the point. That's the point. Is that
You're
he
a
was
great actor.
He isn't that the little girl from the Fablemans, by the way?
It is.
Oh,
Sidebar. Your 10th favorite movie of the decade, The Fablemans? What is going on?
Fablemans.
What is going on?
What's going on?
Yeah.
This is absurd.
We're just talking about movies. What else do you want to do?
All right.
We win all the way around.
My next number 10.
Oh my God. I got to come back to that conversation. That's an important scene to me. Okay.
God.
What is your next number 10, Ben? I don't think anything else that you put here could be nearly as polarizing as that decision. But I don't know. Watch me be wrong in about 25 seconds.
I mean, maybe not with present company, but I feel like if I played like Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction, that would be insane. That'd be crazy to play at 10. Objectively, that's crazy.
I just want to lift the veil real quick into how I'm feeling. I feel like, should I say this out loud? I feel like you have all the power, Ben. I feel like you are running the board.
You picked first. I don't know what to tell you.
Because I wouldn't have. Okay, go ahead.
Because what? You wouldn't have played that at 10?
I just want to hear it. Just out with it so I can figure out the next plan.
Not a long time. We're just having fun. This is all for fun. At
What's
number 10.
What's funner than 1969 in Hollywood?
Oh, yeah. All right. Kill Bill Volume 2. That's what I'm playing here at number 10. Yeah, I mean, this is like the first half of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for me. Like, this is just kind of a boring movie. I like Kill Bill Volume 1 to show my cards is rather high. And this one is just kind of a bummer. I think almost like a lot of the good stuff got used in one. You know, we get the training montage, which is fine. You know, we get, you know, Beatrix fighting off against Elle Driver and Bud, and that's fine. And then going up against Bill, which is also just like fine, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't love it. It's not my favorite thing. It's just so weird how different it is in Volume 1 to me. But obviously like the cast is cool. He got to tell kind of like his samurai story, which was fun and everything. And I think this is just like one of Uma Thurman's best performances ever. You know, this character is the bride. Like, I think she's wonderful as it, but Volume 2 just really falls flat for me, unfortunately. I wish it was a little more like 1. So yeah, I don't know. For me, this is just like, it's half of a story according to him, and it's the weaker half. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm basically like voting this, like, what would I rewatch again? And I would rewatch all 9 movies before I'd rewatch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I would now rewatch all these other 8 movies before I'd rewatch Kill Bill Volume 2. That's my strategy here. I'm just putting it out there. That's what I'm going off of. So at 10, Kill Bill Volume 2.
I would put this here as well. It's definitely the lesser Kill Bill. There's less action. The secondary characters get more screen time, which isn't necessarily what I would want. Yeah, I find it a little bit boring as well. So I like this pick.
Okay.
I think
some sense.
Well, it started with you. All you had to do was put some sense on the board, and we'll follow suit. I think there's some really fun stuff in here with Bud and with Elle Driver and like certain aspects, but I agree with you guys. I think this is like the more boring half of the the story of the Kill Bill story. I like the kind of the ending, the more conversationalized final with Bill and like them coming to grips with their life and what they've done. But I don't know. I just like Kill Bill is just not for me. I'm going to put that out there. That's just like not my thing. And I know some people are really into Kill Bill and think it's really fantastic. And Tarantino does a great job of like, you know, realizing his adoration for 60s and 70s like samurai flicks and things like that. And that's really cool. But in the grand scheme of Tarantino, like these are just not for me. So I have no problem with Kill Bill Volume 2 being in the number 10 spot. Okay, we all agree. That's great. It only took us 32 minutes to get to that stage. Now we have one movie done. We have 9 to go. So, Sophie, you're up next.
All right. As much as I would love to do something super chaotic here to waste Ben's vetoes, there is a movie on the board that I feel very strongly about as my last place film. I wanted to revisit it, but at the same time, I just couldn't get myself to because it's so long and it's so boring. And that is The Hateful Eight for me.
Bingo.
I remember watching this movie during COVID when I was pounding out like 5 movies a day. So honestly, I don't know if I have the best memory of it, but I just remember it being so slow, not super memorable in its dialogue, despite it having a great cast. The fact that it got separated into parts and put on Netflix, like, kind of tells you something. And yeah, it was surprising because I think, to show my cards a little bit, I do prefer Tarantino's later work. And this movie coming out in 2015, was it? I was shocked I didn't like it, but I didn't. So that's my number 9 submission.
Nice.
It's good. It's a good submission. But like I mentioned at the top of the pod, I got to see this in theaters, and like the experience as a whole was very, very cool. And like seeing it with its kind of like interlude in the middle, and then on such nice film stock, I think it was a really great experience. I think this is one of the more hollow Tarantino films when you get to the end. It is not necessarily gratuitous, but it is like just violence quite for violence sake, just some bandits killing some bandits. Tarantino loves cabins. That's one thing I took away from some of these rewatches. Like, my dude loves to just put people in cabins. It's got a good cast. I like Channing Tatum showing up, and Walton Goggins is great, gets a lot of good screen time in this movie, but I think it is ultimately quite a frivolous activity in just Tarantino making violence look cool. I'm good with a 9 spot.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Jennifer Jason Leigh is fantastic in this movie. I think she's like the shining point of it. Kurt Russell does a wonderful job as well, but yeah, it's slow, kind of meandering. I also, I saw some theaters too, that same kind of print, and it was a great experience. It was fun, but that could have been the beers that we snuck into the theater. It's hard to really say exactly, but it was fine, but it's super slow, and just, yeah, I think this deserves to be towards the bottom.
Okay, cool. Good. I feel good. I feel a little bit off put that that's not in the 8 spot. I thought that would have been kind of cool. But I'm not gonna do that for just to be like number 8, the Hateful Eight. Are you dumb? Okay, I've got the 8 spot here. Might be a little chaotic, but I'm gonna follow up on a statement that I said earlier. I'm gonna take it to the bank. I'm gonna nominate Kill Bill Volume 1 here at number 8, and that's just, I'm not trying to start shit. I'm just trying to be honest with myself. It is actually number 8 on my personal Tarantino rankings. So if I'm going for the things that I feel the most truthful, and there's a lot of good stuff in this movie, of course, a lot of really good battle montages and things. This is one of the movies that I've watched a while ago, and I, much like you, Sophie, with The Hateful Eight, I was just like, I don't know. Do I really want to rewatch that? Probably not. And Kill Bill's just like not for me. I don't know what else to tell you. There's just Tarantino movies that I like more and better. And I just like never hooked on to like the storyline of The Bride. It just like wasn't something that I was like enamored with. So Kill Bill Volume 1 in the 8 spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another movie where there's a 90 versus 1 fight for 40 minutes. So we see that shit all the time. Why would you attach to that? Totally understand. Totally makes sense. Or two moms killing each other in a kitchen. I totally get it.
I have never felt a wider chasm in our friendship than I do now.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be Tarantino that brought us down.
A pregnant bride is shot in the head while laying on the floor. We see that all the time.
I said there's some good moments. I said there's
no reason to attach to it at all. I totally get it. Well, I'm going to veto it to at least get it up a little bit. I understand this is your actual number 8 and you want to veto out of me and you made it work. No.
I'm just trying to do what I feel is right.
Show us the letterbox. Let's see it.
You want to see it on my list?
Yeah, I want to see it right now.
I'm not going to fucking show you my list in the middle of the draft.
Because it's not number 8.
It is. I swear to fucking God, it's number 8. Once that list goes public,
one way
baby.
To prove that. One way to prove that.
I don't know how to prove that without showing you everything else. Sophie, where you had a Kill Bill Volume 1?
Hard to prove a lie, I guess.
I wouldn't have vetoed this. Kill Bill Volume 1 is in the bottom half of my list as well. It's just a movie I never really connected with, which is sad because it is about female empowerment. But yeah, I'm not super into action movies, which is sad because I wish I was. But they're just like a bunch of highly stylized action sequences, and I respect the heck out of it, but it's not something I would choose to rewatch. So yeah, it's fine. Kill Bill's cool.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's a good summation. That's very good. Okay, I'm gonna have to pick.
Yeah, what's your real number 8? Let's hear it.
Well, here's where things get dicey. Is because should I actually go with my number 7 or my number 6? Because I feel like both are a little interesting. I'm curious. You know what? I'm going to go with this route. I'm going to nominate Jackie Brown for number 8. And that's not because I don't like Jackie Brown. I actually think it's quite a fun movie. I think that Jackie Brown, Robert Forster is exceptional and Pam Grier is very good. And I like the storyline.
Very good.
I like...
Sorry,
what do you want me
continue.
to say?
No, please continue. Please continue.
Okay, I like all the components of this movie. I think the kind of the non-linear storytelling element that Tarantino brings is not necessarily justified in every instance that he uses it, and unfortunately kind of confounds the story a little bit for me. I like De Niro and the fact that he's just here to like smoke weed and fuck in the movie, which is pretty cool. It's good. It's good. It's just number 8. I got to pick something here. I feel, Ben, obviously you disagree here.
I mean, yeah, without a doubt, I disagree here. I think this is one of his better movies. I think Pam Grier is beyond good. I think she's like fantastic in this stuff with this dialogue, and Robert Forster is amazing. We get just a great cast. We get Michael Keaton.
Is this the only time he works with Keaton?
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did find myself wishing that he had worked with Keaton more after this. I liked his role.
And I think his only time working off someone else's storyline too, working off Elmore Leonard's story. So yeah, I think this movie's fantastic. I think it's unlike anything else that he does, and that's why I like it. I never would think about this movie as a non-linear story. I feel like it's pretty straightforward, but I like the twist at the end with like how they work all the bag swaps and things like that. I think that's kind of fun, but I've only got one veto left, and while I feel like this should be in the top half, you're just trying to get these vetoes out of me.
I genuinely am not.
No, it's okay.
I am not at all.
It's all good. So I'm not going to veto it.
I'm not going to veto it either. I revisited this weekend, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I did the first time I watched it. Again, it was a COVID watch when I was just trying to like finish Tarantino's filmography. Great use of music, like all his films. But I really noticed that on this watch. It feels, even though it's violent, like all of his films, it kind of feels the most restrained, if that makes sense. It's like a romance, it's a heist. I liked that genre bending aspect. It just feels different for him. I think Pam Grier is amazing. But yeah, I think it is in the bottom half for me, so I'm gonna keep it.
Robert Forster does a very good job of bringing some of that restrained nature to the movie. I think like without his anchor of his energy, you could get a little out of hand, and that's what does work very well about it. Okay, so 8 is Jackie Brown. Ben, we're back to you. Number 7.
What about Samuel Jackson's hair and his little beard thing too? That's pretty fun.
And his hats that he wears.
Yeah, I love it.
I was costuming pretty good, pretty cool.
Not too bad.
Would you ever work as a Bond bailsman? Would you ever want to do that?
Man, I don't know. Would
seems
you?
Like dangerous
I don't know if I
work.
could do that.
No, it seems high risk, low reward to me.
Yeah, that seems intense. Unless you get to hang out with Pam Grier, then that might be worth it.
But. I mean, not even hang out, just fall in love with Pam Grier. That's pretty
true. Yeah,
pretty worth it.
I'd take whatever.
But also, somebody gets murdered in your office. I don't know. You win some, lose some.
Yeah. Speaking of bummers,
Once
Upon a Time in Hollywood at number 7.
Jesus fuck you.
I've already spoken my piece on it. I don't have much new to add, but
we don't need to talk about it because I'm vetoing.
Okay.
Wow. I thought you might do it, but some part of me was like, maybe he's found some sanity in the last 3 picks. I guess not.
I felt like I did, but yeah.
You found clarity. You're like, you know what? It is as bad as I thought it was.
yeah, exactly. Okay. So I need another number 7. You can also unhighlight Kill Bill Volume 1 on the list. You have it marked off like we've played it, and we haven't played it.
Wow, I played it in my heart.
Just to be clear here. It's at least getting to number 6, okay? All right. Then let's see. What do I have on my list here? I feel like I've got to play what is number 8 for me, and that is Django Unchained.
Sophie doesn't look happy. I
was surprised by this movie, to be honest. Like, it was a lot better than I was anticipating. I don't know if you guys remember the time, but the original casting was set to be Will Smith, which I know in the last couple of years that's become a whole different story. But at the time, it was so interesting to think of Will Smith starring in a Tarantino movie. It was like pretty exciting to hear about that. So when I went to Jamie Foxx, I was a little bummed. I was like, all right, I mean, it'll still be fine, but it's not Will Smith. But then we watched the movie, and Jamie Foxx is great in it. He's so good in this movie. I think he gives a wonderful performance. It's a fun movie. We get Leo, just like, is it Calvin Candy? Yeah, Calvin Candy.
Monsieur Candy.
Everyone knows did you know he actually cut his hand when he did, and that's like amazing. That scene is fantastic. The story's just like circulated so much now, but it's a really good movie. Fun kind of shootout stuff at the end. Kerry Washington is fantastic. Again, we get Walton Goggins back, who's just always good to see on screen. And then Christoph Waltz follow-up to Inglourious Bastards, where we got to see a little bit more of what he can do. And I think he's better used here than he was in Hateful Eight. So don't you think so?
Oh, wow. No, I thought you were going to say Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, no, that'd be insane to say. That's crazy. I just think he's better used here than he was in Hateful Eight, for sure. So,
for sure.
Yeah, good movie. Jamie Foxx surprised me seeing this movie. He was a lot better than I thought he was going to be. I like it. I don't necessarily dislike any of these movies. But yeah, this is the lowest that I have left.
I mean, really,
want a veto?
We've set out to do the devil's work here and trying to wrinkle these.
You're done.
Your energy is very ominous.
Sophie?
It's very yours. It's very affronting.
She's coming across really weird. I don't understand what's happening.
It's the short, cold responses.
You guys came after me with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in the chat.
We came after you?
You did. You said if it's not 1 or 2, you're quitting. You guys both threatened to leave me if I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, well, gotta leave for good reason. I like Django Unchained. I think it's quite a great movie. Here's the thing with Django Unchained is that it's really cool, and I think it is among Tarantino's coolest because, what's cooler than setting a Rick Ross country song over a freed slave murdering his captors? That's pretty fucking cool. I think there's a lot of things that work very well in this movie. Obviously, Leo being one of them. For me, for some reason, each and every time that I watch this, I hit this second act lull where when we do get to Candy's house, where it kind of just feels like a little bit of a reset of the film for me. And we've moved on from, like, of course, the initial storyline of Dr. King Schultz freeing Django. And now we're focused on Django's storyline. And I think that, like, swap of maybe who is our identifying, like, motivator in our storyline is a little hard for me to follow sometimes, or just to, like, get on board with. Of course, the huge shootout at the end is pretty sick. I think this might be among Tarantino's funniest films to me. There's so many good moments and so many funny things. The last thing I want to say is that Tarantino should never attempt an Australian accent on screen ever again. And we've got to stop this man from the terrorism
he's always the worst parts of his movies, like his little
so
cameos
bad.
that he does. It's
terrible.
It takes me completely out of it. Like, it's not normal.
I think that's part of the issue that I have with, like, what is this kind of, like, epilogue feeling moment where Django gets recaptured and then refreed to go save his wife, is that Tarantino is there. And, like, I'm like, oh, I don't know. We're just kind of doing a skit now, like at the end of our movie of, like, oh, we just kind of wanted to blow more shit up.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but it's like, maybe don't get Australians to, like, take us out of the movie. I don't know. Okay. No harm against Australians. I love Australians in films. Tarantino specifically should not do Australian accents. I don't have a veto, so if you don't have a veto, we're stuck.
We're stuck.
You feeling okay about that?
Yeah, I'm actually fine with this. I actually disagree with Ben, though, in that I don't think Jamie Foxx completely works for me here. I don't think, like, Will Smith would have been better or worse. I don't know. He doesn't really work for me as a Tarantino lead. But I do love the Christoph Waltz performance just because I think him and Tarantino are, like, just my favorite pairing. I think Waltz does such a good job of delivering his dialogue, and it just works so well for me. I also think this movie is the most similar to my favorite Tarantino movie in that it's like a journey film where the characters are moving around and it's not necessarily taking place in the same couple of bars or apartments or whatever. So I like that aspect of it a lot. But yeah, I think this movie's great. It's not one of my favorites, but I like it.
That's good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. On to 6. We're going to fill out the bottom half of this. Sophie, bring us home on the bottom half here.
All right. I'm doing something crazy.
Oh my God. I know exactly what you're doing. And we are fucked, Ben.
Whoa.
Film bros are over.
Listen, Ben has one veto left, and I don't want him to use it on films that I care about. So I'm in the 6th spot nominating Pulp Fiction.
That's insane. That is so crazy.
I have absolutely no relationship to this film. I think it's good. I think it's iconic. I think it's a cult classic, and that's what I know about it, but it's not a film that I gravitate to rewatch ever. It's my best friend's favorite movie, and I have only ever revisited it with her because of what it means to her. And you know what? I want to draw a veto out of Ben. So Pulp Fiction at 6. It is.
Oh, wow. Wow, honey bunny. Wow.
I just want us to put names next to our selections on here so people know who chose what.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Sure.
You
so
can't
I can take it.
You're not going to veto it.
Nope. Not going to veto it.
Oh my God. You just fucking... Wow. I have so many just absolutely harsh analogies.
People are going to hate us for this, but I can take
Sophie,
it.
don't pull us. I didn't do anything.
Ben has the power. This draft. Ben has the power to make everyone love us right now, and he's choosing not to.
I have movies that I love more than this, so I've got to save my veto, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of how it goes.
So Pulp Fiction is truly genre-defining introduction for Tarantino that, Sophie, as you did say, is iconic, brings us into the world of this incredibly hyper-violent, hyper-sexualized, non-linear storytelling from Tarantino. Probably John Travolta's best role of all time, one of the most iconic movie duos of all time in Jules and Vincent Vega. And we're good. Just like, hey, number 6, let's move on to the next movie.
Yep.
Yeah, she's a big Death Proof fan. You know, she wants to get it up there. So we just got to let the world know. We got to play this clip and let the world know. This is what Sophie
Is there
wanted.
anything I can do? Can I pull a veto from the next collab draft and use it now? Can I take a loan?
I think this is a draft where we could all use 5 vetoes each.
Yeah.
Just trying to get this stuff going.
Okay, well, I guess Pulp Fiction is going at number 6. Number 6. I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. Of course it is. And as you mentioned, at the top of the show, has become synonymous with this film bro culture of you like Pulp Fiction. I get it. I understand that. And there's some really good stuff in this movie. Again, Tarantino, not a highlight, but Harvey Keitel, pretty good highlight of this movie.
The Wolf, man.
Really, I love Pulp Fiction, and I didn't revisit it because I know that I love it. And I know it's quite high on my individual list, but I feel hurt, and I've never been close to crying on a podcast before, but I guess this might be the closest.
I mean, it breaks my heart, but if she puts it out there, that she's trying to draw a veto out of me, then I'm just gonna be. Listen, I'm a Torres, I'm stubborn, and I'm just gonna be fine. You know what? If I can let it lie at 6, that's fine. It's gonna happen.
This gotta be nuanced, Sophie. You gotta get your light feet, sister.
One of the best movies of all time. Some hilarious. Check out The Big Brain on Brett. Some of the lines in this movie, oh man, I shot Marvin in the face. It's so. One of my favorite things in this movie is that we spend 10 minutes on this backstory of the watch. And we get that great Christopher Walken scene. It's carried it up his ass for 5 years, all that stuff. We spend 10 minutes on it, and then we cut to present day, and Fabian's tell me about the watch. He's I don't have time to tell you the story. It's I think it's hilarious because we just spent 10 minutes learning the whole story. I think this movie is so funny. I think the way that it works with the nonlinear storytelling is fantastic. So much good stuff in here, but I just need to hang Sophie out to dry and let it play at 6.
The last thing I'll say is this is a very inventive and hyper effective way of utilizing an ambiguous MacGuffin and having the case be our core element that kind of connects everything and everybody. And we get to the end and we still don't know what's in that case. We still don't understand why we just spent the last 2.5 hours getting to a point where we needed to keep the case safe. So I think that's really quite brilliant filmmaking. Oh, God. Well, this thing. Okay, I'm on number 5. Top half of the list. Here we go. Number 5. I feel like I could... Sophie, you really turned the tide on me and my attitude. I just kind of became a villain real quick. I feel like I could wipe out an entire city with one press of a button here. Do I do it? Probably not. Because I gotta stay true. I'm gonna re-nominate Kill Bill Volume 1 here at the number 5 spot.
Death Proof in the top 3. Let's do it. Death Proof top 3. Let's go. Stuntman Mike.
That's insane.
You wore the shirt. You wore the shirt, brother.
I love this movie. I'm excited to see it in the top 3.
I mean, okay. Hold on. Let's pause for a second. No. Let's pause. What's the collaborative energy here? Because we're all fighting for our own thing.
She just played Pulp Fiction at 6. There is no collaborative.
You want Kill Bill in the top 3?
Are you fucking kidding me? It's my number 1 movie.
I'll strike a deal with you.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. I will not play Kill Bill here at the 5 spot if you do not play Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at the 4 spot.
Yes.
Even Steven. We both get what we want.
That is not even Steven. You already vetoed it.
That's as even Steven as it gets. Listen, one spot for one spot.
I love Death Proof as well. I'm fine with it being in the top 3. I feel great about that. I can't promise not to veto something.
Why you got to guilt me into this?
I mean, do whatever you want. Follow your heart, But this is the thing is if you play something and I veto it, she still has the override. So my veto is only good on her next pick, basically.
Ben, is there any way that is there anything we can do so that you don't nominate Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in the 4th spot?
I'm open. I'm part of this team. So
if you'll play it in the 4 or 3 spot.
Oh,
top
God,
3.
That's a tough.
It can't be top 2. It cannot be top 2.
That's a bad beat. What happens if we strike a deal and then we go back on our deal? What happens if we fuck you?
I guess we just remember this for next time. I don't know.
God, I'm really.
That's the only deal I'm
Sophie,
willing to make.
how do you feel about that deal?
This is tempting.
It at least gets in the top 3. I'm okay with that. But
because also Death Proof in the top 3 for me is like that's too much.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah, I like the movie, but
okay,
I'm willing to accept the deal.
Oh, okay. I'm not. I just play whatever you want. I'm happy to put Death Proof in top 3 for sure.
Okay. I'm gonna rethink my proposition here. I will be playing Death Proof in the number 5 spot because I was bullied into it by other people here on the show. I think Death Proof is very good. I think it's a really fun, self-contained kind of story, like a first half, second half thing. It's exceptionally unhinged the final 25 minutes, and Kurt Russell is very, very good as Stuntman Mike. I love him in the bar, just sipping a virgin pina colada, eating nachos. And I think I love even more the aspect that he gets asked, oh, why did you come to bar? He's like, well, there's cool people and there's good food and you don't have to drink. It's like, oh, wow, okay. Pretty insightful, Stuntman Mike. Really fucking weird guy. Would you ever go to someone with their feet sticking out of their car and just brush them with your finger?
I mean, not unless you're Stuntman Mike. He's the only person that gets away with that. Even then, not for long. It's an insane
question.
Yeah.
It's psychotic behavior. It really is. I also really enjoy the raw film kind of quality of this, and then we get the black and white stint and back to color. I think is really fun. Death Proof at 5, I feel good about. Thank you. I just want to extend an olive branch to you, Ben, and say, look, you made me come clean. You put me on the right track, and I appreciate that.
I'm happy to hear that. I mean, after Sophie tried to derail us with Pulp Fiction at 6.
Oh my God.
I feel like this was the only route to go. Yeah, I love this movie. This is one where I was on the edge of my seat. I think this, just knowing in that second half that everything is actually happening, that Zoe Bell is actually on the hood of that car, being Uma Thurman's, stunt person in all the previous movies. This is what she does. I think Zoe Bell is fantastic. We get one of my Crushmores in here, Rosario Dawson, which I'm super happy about. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's fantastic. And Kurt Russell's just he's really the definition of unhinged in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I think he plays it perfectly. I love this movie. I think it's great. Top 3 would be crazy for it to be in the top 3, without a doubt. So I think 5, this is definitely a better movie than Pulp Fiction, without a doubt.
Is Death Proof the coolest movie that Tarantino has made?
I think it's Jackie Brown, but Death Proof is very cool.
Interesting take. Why do you think it's Jackie Brown?
I mean, it's Elmore Leonard. It's he just creates cool worlds. So
yeah,
I think he was able to translate that to the screen. I just think it's cool. Yeah. Delphonics. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, you like Delphonics.
Yeah.
Sophie, what do you think the coolest Tarantino movie is? Swear to fucking God, if you say Pulp Fiction, you just annihilate.
Honestly, I was going to.
That's insane.
I'm sorry. I wanted to do something crazy, and honestly, I stand by what I did.
I love it.
Anyways, well, Ethan, you mentioned feet, so is this where we should talk about Tarantino's feet obsession, or what?
Let's do it. Tarantino's feet, man. I don't know. How do you want to tackle this conversation?
I don't know if I want to.
It's just, I think, it's become a meme at this point, and I don't know. I'm just curious, in his final film, do you think he's going to do it just to do it in his last film? Or, why do you think he does it? Maybe is the better question to ask.
I just think it's a thing that he likes, and he's got the power to do it, and feet aren't for everybody. That's for sure, but they're definitely for him. So
are you saying you're anti-feet, Ben?
I mean, they're one of the weirder body parts for sure.
Oh, you want to do a weird body part ranking? Feet would be up there, huh? Top
next
3.
Week.
Oh,
next
yeah,
draft.
I like that.
Next draft. I just think he has a foot fetish, and I think he's a little bit of a pervert. And like, I think he's just like, I like feet. I don't know. Let's just like put him on the biggest screen possible so I can see what they look like. I mean, it's obviously he'll take him in any form or fashion. Once upon a time in Hollywood, you get Margaret Qualley just bumping him up against the glass of the hood of the car for quite some time, and they look strange. I'll be honest with you. And then other movies, like you just get Stuntman Mike doing weird foot stuff. So
yeah.
I think he just likes feet, and I just think he's like made it his thing. I don't think he is online enough to do what you said, Sophie. I don't think he's clued in enough to be like, oh, they know that I'm going to do some feet. I'm going to get a little meta and do some feet. I think he's far too authentic for that.
Yeah, you see that.
Okay.
But I guess you never know. I don't know. Where are you at on feet, Sophie? You stayed awfully silent. You were like, oh, we should talk about it. And then you didn't say anything.
I just let you boys talk about it. I just bring up the questions.
Just causing the chaos.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. I love him, but he's definitely a weird guy, and we know that from watching his movies. So if he has a foot fetish, he has a foot fetish.
No kink shaming here at the Big Draft podcast.
We don't kink shame on this pod. 100%. Yeah. Love what you're into. Yep. Not feet for Ben, but you know what? It's okay.
Not my thing. Also not my thing. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh my god.
At the number 4 spot. Thank you for the segue. Again, I don't have much to add other than I'm glad it's out of the top 3 for sure. So yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, number 4.
Huh. That's interesting. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still
a little higher than I'd want it.
Still
by like 5 spots, but
okay, look, you've got it. You've got to give us credit. We bumped from 10 to 4. We put in the fucking work on this show.
You really did, and honestly, this was the drafter A spot is the only one that this could have worked out on for me. Because if I had been B or C, you guys would have had a collective 3 vetoes and could have bumped it up all the way to number 1 without a doubt. So when you picked B,
I have not looked at the board like that before.
So happy.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah,
you're living in 2099 over here, Ben, and I'm living in 1969.
60 chess, yeah. I'm ahead.
Playing chess with Hal over here. Holy shit!
If either of them get A, then I'm toast, and it's gonna make it all the way up. So I'm super happy.
Oh wow, Sophie, we gotta put our brains together. We gotta get smarter. I don't know what to tell you.
Ethan, let's hear why you love this movie.
Yeah.
Oh wow, so. Sophie, do you have a problem with me loving this movie? That was harsh. Like, yes, no. Tell me why you love it.
No, I want to hear it because honestly, off the pod, I texted both of these men and said, you both need to revisit this movie because I was disappointed with the ratings I was seeing on Letterboxd, and I was just happy to see it at a 5-star. That's amazing. So I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably what I feel like to be the most thematically deep and resonant of Tarantino films, which I think is interesting because it is such a departure from the things that he normally finds himself doing in like Django Unchained or Pulp Fiction, or like Kill Bill. I love that it is not only set in Hollywood 1969. Obviously, we get like a movie about movies, but I think Leo specifically is so interesting and intriguing in the way that he captures like what Hollywood is going to be, and the kind of the transformation of like movies are dying and like that it's been happening forever, and actors are dying on the vine and like have to go to Italy to catch a paycheck and like these crazy things. Ben, to your point, the acid dipped cigarette and the ending is probably some of Brad Pitt's best acting work, maybe like ever. Like it is truly phenomenal what happens. I forgot Mia Hawke is in this movie. She's in it for like 2 seconds, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do. It just feels like one of those movies that you can just like get locked in with and just like be transported to these worlds and like to their individual lives and like really just envelop yourself in like the Rick Dalton of everything. And I think it's great. It's my personal number one Tarantino film.
Whoa. Okay. I love it. We got it up to number 4. Good job, guys.
Oh my God.
You did it.
We did it.
I don't know. I mean, sure. I should feel happy, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. So, Sophie, where is it? Can you reveal to me where this is on your personal Tarantino rankings?
Yes, it is in my number 2
It's
spot.
off the board now.
Yeah, it's in my number 2 spot. Sometimes I think it's my number 1, but day to day. Yeah, I feel like I kind of went into it already, but I love this movie. I love movies where, quote, nothing happens, because it's a hangout movie, and I love that.
Helps me fall asleep. They're fantastic.
Like huge benefit, dude. It's a sleep aid for you. Put it high on the list.
I need to rethink it. This is a bedtime movie for sure.
Oh my gosh, the disrespect.
I'm shocked. I'm just shocked, truthfully.
Ben, like, do you think nothing happens in the movie Dazed and Confused? Like, is that a boring movie for you?
No, I like that movie.
Like, it's a hangout movie. Like, maybe nothing big happens, but like they're just hanging out, having fun.
Yeah. I mean, if Tarantino had made it would have been a lot cooler if he did, but
Good one. Yeah, I it's number 2 for me. I can't. So what was in your number 1 spot before, Ethan?
I had Pulp Fiction in my number 1 spot previously.
Wow.
Would have dropped to number 6.
Probably. Okay, not on my list.
No, I know, not from you, but just to hear it at number 6, it's crazy.
Yeah, it hurts. I think Pulp Fiction is the movie that I have the most personal connection with out of all of Tarantino's films, just because of what I spoke about, and so like, it's hard not to be like, oh, that's my favorite. Like, oh, fuck yeah, Pulp Fiction. But I think as my movie tastes change and like as I evolve, and I haven't seen Once Upon a Time since it came out in theaters, and like I'm a different movie watcher now than I was then. I think this movie is much better holistically. But
cool.
Okay, well, we're at the top 3. Sophie, you've got the 3. I've got the 2. Ben, you've got the 1. I still feel like Ben's got the power of the board and just really cuckolded us into
I don't know that's true.
That's not true anymore.
Should we go over the 3 movies that we have left so people know?
Yeah, so we've got Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill Volume 1, and Inglourious Bastards, 2 movies that I know where they stand for each of you individually. So I'm not going to say like I got fucked, but I got fucked because now I only have just like one movie that you guys aren't going to pick. So it's pretty cool.
Fair enough.
All right, in the number 3 spot, I think we know where we're going here, is Kill Bill Volume 1. Ethan and I spoke our piece, but it's just not a movie that I connect with, and that makes me sad. But I love the nonlinear storytelling, of course. The action sequences are great. Genre bending in terms of it being a movie where there's martial arts, and it's a revenge drama, and it's a spaghetti western. It's cool.
Strong female protagonists,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We love to see that.
We do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. Kill Bill.
I would love to see it in the top
cool
2,
movie.
actually.
Cool movie, honestly.
I think it belongs in the top 2, for sure.
Ben, I if I'm not mistaken, you still have a veto, is that correct?
Yeah. I would love to use it.
Oh my God.
Let's cash it in.
Wow. That's you talking about Stuntman Mike being unhinged? You're unhinged.
If I can get my number 1 movie to number 2, then great. I've got to do it. I'm just one guy.
Okay. Wow, nice job. Good job, Ben.
Thank you.
All right. Well, then, in the number 3 spot, which is actually my personal number 3, is Reservoir Dogs. One of the best debut films of all time. The first time I ever watched it, I watched it one night, and then the next night I turned it on again because I loved it so much. Genius soundtrack, very innovative storytelling at the time, and still. The film unfolds through those series of like flashbacks and present day scenes. It's, oh my gosh, the tipping debate is like one of my favorite scenes of all time.
I was gonna say that really, that's like a top 3 Tarantino scene.
Yes, it just like is such a great example of Tarantino's dialogue and how smart he is with it, and just the conversations he can bring up through his writing. So Reservoir Dogs, I love it a lot.
It's so
and it
good.
gave us the meme of what's his name in the back of the car saying "I'm okay" when he's covered in blood.
Yeah, Mr. Orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use that far too often.
Fucking dying. Yeah, the scenes that we get of Tim Roth going back to like his cop stuff and practicing all his speeches, so good. Yeah, this movie's great. This movie makes me think about my final project at film school, because we had to direct a scene, write a scene, all this stuff, and our teacher very specifically said, do not do a scene of people sitting around a table talking. It doesn't work. And of course, someone's like,
you
what about
get a
Tarantino?
New prof, man.
He's like, well, that's the exception to the rule. Like, none of you are Quentin Tarantino. He's the only one that can make it work. And so, as is my want, I wrote a scene in a diner, and that's where we filmed it. It was just a 10-minute scene of 4 people talking at a diner booth. Obviously, it was not great by any means, but I wanted to like challenge myself, because like what Tarantino accomplishes here is amazing. All the code names are fantastic. Like, well, why has to be Mr. Brown, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's so much great dialogue here. Like you said, Sophie, it's one of the best introductions to a writer director. Like, oh shit, okay, we need to pay attention to this guy. Obviously, he had written Natural Born Killers, and I'm blanking on the other one, True Romance. But this was like being his first directorial debut is fantastic. There's a reason he hung on to this one and didn't sell this one. I think it was the right call. Fantastic movie. Top 3 for sure.
This is my personal number 3 on my list, so I have no issues with this being number 3. I think probably the most effective visceral violent scenes in a Tarantino film, with like the ear being cut off and Mr. Orange dying in the back of the car. What I think is really interesting that we have this in the top 3 is that I think, if I'm not mistaken, this might be or is his shortest film at 99 minutes, just an hour and 39 minutes long. I think that's really interesting, juxtaposed against like later Tarantino pushing 240 pretty much all the time, making some quite lengthy films. We get obviously introduction to some of his staples, and like Michael Madsen, Tim Roth, Harvey Keitel, and he ends up working with these guys quite substantially, moving forward. And a lot of his stuff, we talked about the tipping scene, I think is really, really great and funny. And I think you get a really good, like, effective reveal at the end of like, oh, I'm not who I said I was. And you have all these monikers that you're dealing with, like a very simplistic idea that makes itself more complex and then ends up being quite simple in the end, if that makes sense. So like it all pans out. And yeah, I think Reservoir Dogs is very, very good. Is it better than Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but you know what? That's the reality we live in right now.
And the stuck in the middle of you scene, we haven't talked about that. Like, what a fantastic scene that is. Michael Madsen just chewing it up. Love it.
I think my biggest takeaway from doing these Tarantino watches or rewatches, other than the fact that like Tarantino likes feet and cabins, is Michael Madsen. I just love him as an actor. I think he's very good in pretty much everything that Tarantino puts him in. And he's just like really enjoyable to watch for me. Okay, I have the number 2 pick.
What's it gonna be?
Pick. I have the number 2. Well, here's my driver. What's it gonna be? I could do what maybe feels right to me, and put Kill Bill Volume 1 here, and we end up with Inglourious Bastards at number 1, which I feel like everybody.
But Kill Bill 2.
Inglourious Bastards at number 1.
Yeah.
So that could happen. Sophie, I know you're shaking your head quite vigorously. Or I could, I don't know. I feel, like I said, I feel a little villainy in me. Everybody got to be a little bit of a villain today except me. I got fucked. I didn't get the opportunity to do something where I was like, wow, I'm going to make you guys fight amongst yourselves.
This could be your moment.
This could be it.
Come on.
What do we do? What do we... I don't know. What do we do?
I like
Power's
that,
in my hands.
I like that Sophie's trying to be the voice of reason. The person who played Pulp Fiction at 6.
Yeah,
it's like,
get
come
outta
on,
here.
that's crazy. Don't do that. It's absurd.
You actively disagree with what you're gonna do. Like, you've already spoken your piece about Kill Bill Volume 1.
Right, but that's
and
what I find so fascinating about my predicament.
No.
Can I live in a world in which Kill Bill Volume 1 is the number one Tarantino film that we've agreed on the podcast?
And then you give Ben everything he wanted.
You've
admitted that
birthday. Yeah.
You've admitted that he has held the power. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, your beloved number 1 is in the number 4 spot because of Ben. Don't give him more. Come on.
Look, you try to claw your way back out from the Pulp Fiction well, and that thing is so fucking deep, you're never getting out.
Like, you're pretty far down there.
Ben was forthright and honest in his intentions, and you know what? That meant a lot to me. He didn't fucking blindside me in the number 6 spot. Just go insane. So I do feel like I have a little bit of a say here, but ultimately I will be playing Kill Bill Volume 1 here. I just cannot have that be the number 1. I truthfully think Inglourious Bastards is better, obviously. So let's save the Inglourious Bastards talk for the number 1 pick. Kill Bill Volume 1 is going to go here. We kind of already talked about it ad nauseum a little bit. Anybody want to add anything to the Kill Bill talk?
I'm just really happy to see it here at number 2.
I'll tell you, our next collab draft that we're all 3 on, it's going to get
Thanks for working
turned
with
up
me,
to
guys.
fucking 11.
Thanks for working with me on this.
I didn't work with shit, Ben.
No, it was very nice of you. It's very kind of you to do that.
Okay, well, I don't know. The rest of my day is kind of shot now, honestly. I feel pretty soured on life, honestly. Okay.
All right, number 1. Kill Bill Volume 1 is my favorite Tarantino movie. It is number 1 for me, but I do think objectively Inglourious Bastards is his greatest film that he's ever done.
Is it his masterpiece?
Yeah, I think it is. Like, I think this is the number 1 film in Tarantino's repertoire, if you want to go that route. I just think it's like we get a wonderful, amazing Brad Pitt performance. Like, he's doing the most here in the best way. This cast is great. Even Eli Roth is good, which is like saying something, you know, like he's
good in Death Proof. Okay. His 2 lines, pretty good. Yeah. Not bad.
But Diane Kruger, Melanie Laurent is awesome. Fassbender, the scene, like in the basement, like he's amazing in there along with Daniel Bruhl. So cool to see them there. And then obviously this is, I think for the most part, where American audiences met Christoph Waltz, and talk about just fucking stealing the show from that opening scene. It is amazing. The milk, the au revoir Shoshana, like just seeing them hide out underneath. He holds such a command over that first, whatever, like 12 minutes. It is perfect. It's the best opening. But the whole thing itself, I think just works wonderfully from beginning to end. I think this is, just like his strongest movie. I think Tarantino's at his peak here with this, and I love it. I think it's a perfect fit for number 1, honestly. Like, if I had a veto and you had played Inglourious here, I would have vetoed you to put this at 1, because I do think this is his best film. It deserves to be here.
Wow, just fucking talking out of our asses now.
I would honestly. I would have done Kill Bill at 2. I think this is his best movie.
So, Sophie, but real quick before you talk on Inglourious Bastards, which I know you've been waiting to talk about for 80 minutes now, can I just read your Letterboxd review real fast? Because it says, the fact that people continued to make movies after this, love the confidence. Fucking elite review.
Yeah, if you asked me right now what I thought the greatest movie ever made was, I might say this, which is a crazy statement, and I know that. But this movie holds so much weight for me. I explained at the beginning that this is the first Tarantino movie I ever saw, but it really is the movie that got me into movies as well. I think, like Ben said, Christoph Waltz and his collaboration with Tarantino and his dialogue is just one of the greatest things put to screen. This screenplay, like I have it sitting next to me, and I could just open up to a page and it would be some of the greatest lines ever written. It's just so iconic and no minute is wasted. I think there's so many scenes that are just so rewatchable that if this movie was on, I would just not be able to stop watching. The opening scene is something I put on all the time. I think them playing the heads up game is iconic and so good, and just that twist of the three glasses, everything is just so amazing. I could go on and on. I think it's his most quotable movie. I think it's his funniest movie. This is really when I grew up thinking that comedy was just basic studio comedies like Superbad and Step Brothers, but when I watched this movie I was like, wow, films that are good in my opinion can also be really funny. So yeah, I love it so much. Brad Pitt's performance is great also. Everyone is kind of at the peak here. So yeah, please stop me because I'll keep going.
Let's just go Tarantino style. We'll make a front half of the pod. We'll make a back half of the pod. And this will be our Inglourious Bastard show. Yeah, I don't have much to add to the conversation. I think you guys are right. Is this Tarantino's masterpiece? I think is a really interesting question because obviously of his very self-aware nature of the finality of this movie. I think it's really cool that Christoph Waltz wins supporting actor in this film, then goes to win supporting actor again when he comes back with Tarantino for Django Unchained. So obviously Christoph Waltz and Tarantino unlock something in each other that I think is really special and really unique. Kind of a movie about movies, right? If we want to take it there and go there, I think that this is cool because it's kind of the only time he works with some of these people and some of these actors BJ Novak or Mike Myers. Just want to put that out there. Which I think both are quite good in this movie, honestly.
The little man.
You get very iconic moments, quotable moments. This movie was the only modern day film that we had to watch for my World War II cinema class last year in my grad program. So, shout out to my professor, understanding the importance of Inglourious Bastards and Tarantino. Okay, that locks up our Quentin Tarantino collaborative draft. I'm going to go through what the list looks like. We'll give some closing thoughts. Number 10, Kill Bill Volume 2. Number 9, The Hateful Eight. Number 8, Jackie Brown. Number 7, Django Unchained. Number 6, Pulp Fiction. Number 5, Death Proof. Number 4, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 3, Reservoir Dogs. Number 2, Kill Bill Volume 1. And number 1, Inglourious Bastards. I want to circle back to the question I asked at the top of the pod. I'm probably going to ask this every single time we do a collab draft each month that we do it. Is there a winner? Because it feels like Ben won, but it also feels like Sophie won because you got your number 1 movie overall. And it feels like I was just along for the ride.
It was great to have you, Ethan.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Pleasure to be on the show.
But yeah,
hope you can have me back.
With Sophie and I. Yeah, obviously I'm happy to see Kill Bill up as high as it is. But I think the takeaway from this is going to be Sophie's selection at 6. So I kind of feel like she won this draft.
Yeah, I agree.
What can I say?
Overall, I think
I feel
the three
great.
of us did a good job.
Yeah,
the three, very good. The three of us.
The 3 of us.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe there is some merit to just coming in and just spreading your wings, watching pigs fly. It seemed like it worked out for Sophie. Didn't really work out for me. Obviously, I'd change Pulp Fiction. I think that's got to be much higher. Other than that, I don't know. Feel okay. Feel pretty good. Our first collab draft is in the bag. I don't know what our next collaborative draft, Sophie, you're not joining, but it'll be Ben and myself and a special guest. We're going to be doing something really fun. I don't want to say what it is quite yet, but it will be our first episode that will tie in with a movie release. So, I don't know. Prognosticate on what that could be, I guess. What's our collab draft after that? Because I can't remember, but I know we've got something in the books. Oh, I know what's after that.
Yeah.
It's very interesting as well. Could take place in a galaxy far, far away. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel pretty good about this episode. I like collaborative drafts, and I like the idea of them, and then they end, and I don't like them anymore. That's how I feel about this. Any other closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Nope, just super happy to be here.
Yeah, my number one movie is in the number one spot. So, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is not in the bottom half. So that's all I could ask for. Two big wins. And I was made out to be the villain for putting Jackie Brown at number 8. Okay. Thanks, Ben and Sophie, for participating on this episode of the Movie Draft Podcast. Always a pleasure, as always. Be sure to listen and subscribe to the Movie Draft Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes will release weekly on Tuesdays. We'll see you then.